Coming right up, another fun Varsity Sports Show!
In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
Hi, kids. This is DJ Soulman from the Funk Junkies, and you're listening to the Varsity Sports Show with my man Vince Delicio. And what's your last name?
It's Delicio.
Okay, that's right. That's what I thought. Yeah, right.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
This program is paid for by the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization, and its partners.
You're listening to the Varsity Sports Show, home of Arizona's youth, high school, college sports, and you, empowering education and enabling dreams, right here on KDUS AM 1060 in Arizona. And now, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. My name is Vince Delicio, and we have a special show for you today. First of all, we're dialing it back a little bit. You know, it seemed like throughout the spring, throughout the fall, throughout the spring, we were just like balls to the wall, going intense, segments here and there, co-hosts and guests here and there, and just like not a lot of time to really dial it back, take a deep breath, and really enjoy. And we're going to get to do that today. And the guy that we're going to get to do that with, not only myself, we're going to slow it down a little bit, and we're so excited that you are joining us today. We have a special show today. We got a lot of things we're going to be doing, but we're also joined by a special co-host in studio that is joining us for the summer as a summer intern. He's joining our broadcast team. He'll be producing content for us as well as hosting, so you're going to hear his voice every single week on the show, whether it's an audio package that or two that he prepares for us, but also co-hosting. And this guy is arguably, I say this, he's humble, but he's arguably one of the top, 5 quarterbacks in the state of Arizona, going into his senior year at Corona del Sol High School. He's an Aztec. His name is Connor Ackerley. Connor, thank you so much for joining. First of all, thanks for joining us for the summer. What got into your head?
I just, I've always wanted to be a journalist, to be a broadcaster,
Wow.
So
Okay.
thought you were the guy to teach me.
Wow, look at that, man. You hear that, guys out there, competitors? Gosh, I was thinking, who was I thinking of? I was thinking of Paul Harvey, but he passed away a long time ago, and you probably wouldn't know who that was. But, hey, thanks so much for that, Connor. It's a pleasure to have you and to join us this summer. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a lot of work. I said that already at the outset, and you're up for the challenge, and you got a lot of things that you're kind of juggling in the meantime this summer to get ready, for your own season. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about other interests that you have, how you got to be where you are now, where you're headed, and what you want to do. You come from a real strong family. We'll talk about your family a little bit as well, because I like those guys. They're all good people, and they're friends of mine. Anyway. So, Connor, joined by Connor Ackerley in studio. He'll be joining our broadcast team for the summer, this summer as one of our interns, and very, very excited about that. Connor, let's talk a little bit about your background. Now, you grew up here in the Phoenix area. You grew up around Tempe, right? I mean, primarily, that's kind of where your stomping grounds are. And your dad is an ASU alum, played for Coach Larry Marmee and Coach Bruce Snyder, the late Coach Bruce Snyder. He's also a good friend of mine, and Chad Ackerley, but he's very active in the community as well. And you have a sister, right?
Yeah, she's a softball player.
Yeah, she plays softball. Yeah, because I know that your dad is heavily involved in softball as well. Talk about your upbringing and your family. I mean, what's it like growing up in a house where your mom is a broadcaster, also Jody Jackson, and I mean, what's that like? Does she like bring her work home with her a lot? Do you kind of are you privy to conversations of things going on? Man, I hate that Suns coach, or man, that Suns owner is he's a real what or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, yeah. So it's not always her bringing it home. It's me. Sometimes I'll bring it to her. She comes home from a D-backs game, and if I watched it, we'll talk about the D-backs game. And sports is just integrated into a lot of stuff we do in our lives, just with her job and with what I do and with what my dad does. My dad, he's been coaching me since I was like 5.
What's that like?
So
is he like Marv Marinovich? Do you know who Marv Marinovich is? Do you know who Todd Marinovich is? He was a Raiders quarterback years ago, and his dad was like this. Yeah, it forced him to do stuff he didn't want to do on the playing field and stuff, but it got
interesting at times. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we kind of developed as I got older.
Yeah.
So I mean, his last year coaching me was my freshman year, so he kind of developed and let he my quarterback coach.
Okay.
He let him kind of.
Okay. Because your dad was a lineman in high school, so I can just imagine. I mean, he's a great guy, but probably not a quarterback guy.
Yeah, he wasn't teaching me mechanics.
Okay.
Anything,
okay. So he turned that over to an expert.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. But like in terms of son, you didn't have a good practice today. I mean, would you get a lot of that at home, or what was that like?
He was all about like my mental, my attitude at practice.
Yeah.
My effort level. That's what he would get on me about. He was never one to yell at me about, hey, you got to fix this in your mechanics. Hey, you got to do this in your mechanics, because he kind of knew like it was a new world for him.
Yeah.
Because he's never coached a quarterback. He never really played quarterback.
Yeah.
But he was always there to make sure that I was giving the right effort, having a good attitude about practice, and kind of trying to lead my teammates the right way.
Did he know when to maybe back off a little bit if you had a rough day? I mean,
sometimes, yeah. Sometimes he would get on me more than the other players, but that's just how it has to be when it's a coach's son. Sometimes you gotta prove that
rough.
Hey, this isn't my son on the field. So.
Yeah, I mean, and especially it's got to be tough for him even to sit in the stands. Like I mean. Connor, we covered you guys last season, and you had a couple games that maybe you wouldn't consider stellar games. You'll admit that, and so you imagine if your dad or your folks sitting up in the stands as supportive as they are, and maybe they're hearing comments from other people like, why'd he throw that or something, and so there's a little bit of pressure there too. But anyway, so okay, well, and so that's great. And your sister, you don't talk a lot about her sister, but she plays softball. She's a little younger than you, right?
Yeah, so she's a freshman. She played softball this year. She got some varsity experience this year.
Okay.
Which is good for her. I think she did well this year. Her team made the playoffs. We made the playoffs this year. And I think it was second round. They made it to the second round this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had a good year. And then Caitlin, she'll just keep growing and developing, and she's on a good path.
Does she? Are you guys pretty close?
Yeah. I would say so.
I mean, different interests, obviously. Boy, girl, different ages, different friend groups or whatever.
When sports is all. I mean, it's all the same. It's all competitive nature, and so me and her can kind of bond about sports and being competitive and talk about like. I know enough about softball where I can carry a conversation with her about it, and she knows enough about football where she can carry a conversation with me about football. So we have that relationship where we can talk about sports, and then we can talk about other stuff outside of sports. So what does
she play?
She's a pitcher.
Oh, she pitches.
She's a pitcher.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Does it get a little competitive with because you being a quarterback and she being a pitcher? I mean,
She'll come up to me, talk about, well, you didn't get to play on varsity your freshman year. And I'm like, come on, man.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
She did.
So,
yeah. Wow. Okay. So in terms of the pressures of performing and schools out there maybe that are keeping an eye on you, that you're on their radar, is your sister also getting that kind of attention right now?
She's a little young, I think.
Yeah.
So she's freshman. I'm not really sure how softball recruiting differs from football recruiting.
Yeah.
But I know eventually she'll be getting those looks. It's just she hasn't got anything really right now. When she starts going on camps and kind of does what I did last year, where I had this whole camp circuit, I think she'll definitely be getting more looks.
Joined by a new broadcasting team member for the summer, Connor Ackerley, who happens to also be the quarterback out at Corona del Sol High School. And Connor, you, how did you end up playing quarterback?
It started at a young age. When you play like flag football at a young age, you try out every position, see which one you like the best. So I would play receiver, I'd play safety, play linebacker, and then I would play quarterback. And it kind of just boiled down to like it just came naturally to me almost like just being able to like try and lead a team and put them in the right direction, have to be the smartest guy on the field. That kind of stuff, like I just gravitated towards. I feel like. So
Connor, you look at me, and I'm 5'7". I'm kind of a little chubby guy, and when I was a freshman in high school, I went up to my high school coach Frank Madura, who was an older guy from Texas, and I said, "Hey, coach, it was my first time playing. I think I played a year of Pop Warner when I was in 5th grade, but I went up to him. I said, "Hey, coach, I want to play quarterback." So I told him that, and he goes, "Son, you're going with the offensive line." And he kind of made the decision for me, just kind of eyeballing me. So you knew at a young age that that's what you wanted to do, and so you developed and you practiced and got better at it. In time, I mean, what was competition like on the field? Because you came from there was a pretty good stable of quarterbacks back there at Corona the last few years before you took over.
Yeah, I mean, just like before me was Quaid, and he was kind of regarded as the guy that helped turn the program around. They went from 2-8, 1-9 seasons every year, and then they had that 22 class and the 21 class, and they kind of turned it around. They went to the playoffs for the first time in many years. Then they had the undefeated season where they went to the Open. Yeah, and that was under Quaid. That was his senior year. So yeah, they just being able to watch Quaid and see him lead a team, that definitely, I feel like it helped me a lot more than like I got to compete with this guy. Like it was just more like I got to let me watch this guy and see what I can learn from him. He was more of a runner though, wasn't he? He didn't sling the ball as much. He was athletic. He had a really good arm. He played baseball too. Okay. So he could sling the ball when he wanted to. But yeah, he definitely was a runner. He was really athletic.
Now 21 was like it seemed like it was an undefeated season. I think, wasn't it, like 9-1, 10-0 season?
It was the year after the COVID season, so the 2020 season. I think.
Okay, and then the next year. It was a weird year because it was like the non-league games. It was your sophomore year.
It was my sophomore year.
You guys didn't win any of the non-league games, but then all your league games, like you swept. You ran the table, so it was like you finished 500.
Yeah, that was definitely it was a weird year. There was a lot of turnover that year. Yeah. I still look back and think that there's some things we could have done better. Yeah. But you can't look back on the past now. But no. But yeah, there was a lot of turnover, and it still set us up pretty good for the future. We went 8-2. Yeah. The year after that, so yeah, it just happens sometimes.
So obviously you being in studio today, we're going to kick back. We're going to talk about some things as the show goes on. We're going to have fun with this show, but it's also a special show because this is Memorial Day weekend, and our amazing broadcast team, of which you are a part of, Connor, brought us some content this week that we're going to run throughout the show. And I even helped out with this week too, because I wanted to do my part, do my share in honor of Memorial Day. And as you know, there's two holidays. There's that honor our troops. There's Memorial Day. There's Veterans Day. And Veterans Day honors all those that have served that are living. Memorial Day honors all those that have served that are no longer with us. So keeping with that theme, we are going to be talking to and about special people that served our nation throughout the show that are no longer with us. And we'll look forward to bringing that to you. It's a special Varsity Sports Show today, joined in studio by our new broadcast member for the summer, Connor Ackerley, who also happens to be the quarterback at Corona del Sol High School. When we come back from the break here on the Varsity Sports Show, stick around. We'll be back.
Tune in weekdays to the Sports Zone with Bob Kemp from 9 to 10 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060, KDUS1060.com, and with the KDUS 1060 app.
Hi, this is Varsity Sports Show alum Sam Valenti. On this Memorial Day weekend, I'd like to honor my grandfather, William Bailey, who served in World War II as a seaman, second class with the United States Navy. He joined the military to explore the world, as it provided him with the opportunity to see what was outside of the United States for the first time in his life. After his time in the Navy, he would make a point of giving back to those currently serving. He would invite international students and servicemen from Great Lakes Naval Academy over to his home for holiday dinners, like Thanksgiving. He always had a great appreciation for the people who served our country just like he did. Outside of the military, my grandfather loved being around family and having experiences with the people he loved and cared about. I will never forget the amazing times I was able to share with him, going on cruises, fishing, and taking trips to Maine, one of his favorite places. A truly special thing he was able to do in recent years was to bring our entire family together for reunions in Chicago. Not only did this allow for many of my relatives to connect after many, many years, but it allowed me to meet and make connections with relatives that I had never known about previously. The fact that our whole family was able to come together and share quality time with each other and my grandfather is truly wonderful, and he made it all happen. My grandfather passed away a few weeks ago at the age of 96. While I am sad that he is no longer with us, I take solace in the fact that he lived a long and wonderful life, making a positive impact on everyone he encountered. He loved his country and he loved his family, and I will forever be grateful for the times we had together. This has been Varsity Sports Show alum Sam Valenti. Have a golden day.
Hey, this is John Linton with the I Have a Name Project, and Let's Be Better Humans. You're listening to the Varsity Sports Show.
Training Better Athletes was founded by renowned football coach Ron Sowers with the philosophy of training well-rounded young people in mind and body. TBA is the go-to for middle schoolers through the pros. Coach Sowers has worked with all sports but specializes in football offensive and defensive line skills training. Whether it's one-on-one or group training, reach out to Coach Sowers at trainingbetterAthletes.com or call him at 602-435-9064. You can't cheat the grind. Hey, local businesses, join the Varsity Sports Show and promote your business on our weekly radio show and game live streams. We have several options to promote your business affordably and reach our incredible audience. Call, text, or email us anytime if you'd like more information on joining our team. The Varsity Sports Show will work hard to promote your business through our audio and video platforms while also promoting all of our young people. 480-779-9437 or email us at varsitysportshow.com.
Have you downloaded the KDUS AM 1060 skill for Alexa yet?
Food. Alexa is frustrated. No matter how many times do you ask, the answer is mail, chicken.
Once you're ready, say Alexa, open KDUS AM 1060 to listen to your favorite shows.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona. Vince DeLisio joined in studio today by a name and a voice you're going to get used to throughout the summer. His name is Connor Ackerley, and he is joining our broadcast team for the summer as an intern. We struck a deal to create an internship program for the Tempe Union High School District. Connor, I don't know if you knew that or not, but this is big because it's going to be a pipeline for students, for high school students that are interested in media, whether it be in front of the camera, in front of the mic, behind the camera, behind the mic, and it's open up to all the high schools in your district. We're real excited about it. The pilot school right now is going to be Tempe, and then it will open up the floodgates, and all the other schools are going to participate. I actually had a chance to visit with a few students, even from your own campus this spring, that were interested as well. So it'll be a lot of fun this fall. So you'll definitely. You're kind of a guinea pig in a sense, but you'll definitely also be able to provide some perspective on that to these other students that are interested. I want to talk a little bit about. We had a chance to learn more a little bit about how you got into football and being interested in football and your interest there. But you also participate in other sports. You're a big baseball guy.
Yep.
Yeah. How did all that come about?
Yeah, so again, it started when I was really young. My dad wasn't a big baseball guy. He was pretty much football through and through. His whole family was all football. And then this kind of came from my mom's side, I feel like, because she works with the D-backs. She's been doing games with the D-backs since, for like 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I think it was more my mom was like, hey, why don't we try baseball for him? And not just me, but my dad, we both kind of fell in love with baseball.
Yeah.
Going through Little League. Again, he was my coach through Little League. We both fell in love with it together. We both felt pretty passionate about it together. And I just feel like the love kind of grew. And my dad, it's crazy because my dad wasn't very open-minded to it at first, but then as it kept going, he became one of the biggest baseball dads I know. So.
Really?
Yeah, he would always just be there for me, would always try and give me, tips and pointers if he could, again, about attitude, not really anything about mechanics, but yeah, he loves baseball almost as much as I do.
So, and your mom, of course, you mentioned she's been covering the Diamondbacks for 20 years now. Your mom being Jody Jackson, who's the legendary broadcaster, been around the game and been around the Valley for years and years. So obviously talking it up in conversations at home and all that. When you were playing baseball, can you hear your mom in the stands?
Sometimes, yeah. There are a few times where you can hear her in the stands.
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing with like freshman football.
Yeah.
It was because freshman football was during the COVID year. So you could only have like two family members in the stands.
Oh, come on. Even when there were 1,000 people
you
there,
can hear her.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, you can definitely hear her during baseball. And my mom felt free to give me her opinions on the game.
What were some common pointers that you heard from your folks? Like to talk about your mom first, because your mom's around all these Major League Baseball players, so she sees things and nuances and other things. Like, what were some common things that she would give you tips?
A lot of it was like the small parts of the game, like the baseball, like IQ parts of the game.
Yeah.
Like, 2 outs, we got to run here. And obviously this is when I was smaller, like Little League, but she'd always be telling me the nuance, the little part of the game that not a lot of people would know. And that's kind of where I developed my baseball IQ from is she would be there to kind of give me a little tip, like, hey, this is something that you can do next time that it's in the rule book and would help my baseball IQ out, and it did.
Yeah.
And so that what I felt like was one of my strengths, was that I was just really baseball smart.
Wow. That's big. That's impressive because of the fact that, your folks kind of encouraged you, pushed you in it, but also they had that perspective. What about your dad? What were some things you got from him?
He was a big attitude guy, big personality guy, be a leader guy.
Yeah.
So, in the sport of baseball, where they say baseball is a sport of failure. Everyone's heard that before. So, batting 30%, hitting the ball 30% of the time is really, really good. Yeah. So he was there. He would just provide perspective. You know what I mean? Like, you had a rough game. It happens often in baseball. You play in high school. You play, I think it's like 35 games a year. You're not going to have a great game at all 35. So he was just there to provide perspective for me and, try to keep my head up. He wasn't there to tear me down after a strikeout and, you got to do this next time. You got to do this. He was there to, hey, we're going to go get him next time, all right?
What position you play in baseball?
I played middle infield.
Okay.
I played a little bit of outfield, pretty much everywhere. If you want me to play there, I'll play there.
Do you have a favorite?
I was a big shortstop guy. I always liked
Yeah.
playing shortstop.
Do you get a lot of ball, like line drives hit your way? I mean,
There's a lot of action at shortstop, and then there's a lot of talking at shortstop.
Talking. Okay.
Lot of you got to lead the infielder out, and that's kind of the position that's doing the most talking.
What about hitting wise? How was your hitting?
It was pretty good. Everyone goes through slumps, but the biggest part of a slump is like being able to get back.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. Was I was always able to like put a bat on the ball, get back in the right groove of things, and so
the not only that, and you know, in hitting the baseball field, at a certain point in your career, you have to make a decision: which sport am I going to choose? And, you know, what's best for me, what's best for my sanity and my passion and everything else. How did you come to that decision? And I also want to talk about track. We'll get into talking track. But how did you get into that decision that, you know what, this is the path that I have to go in?
I mean, just it gets pretty hard to do both sports because you got to train in the off season pretty hard for both sports to be in shape and be, you know, prepared to do what's necessary for each sport. So I felt like, you know, my recruiting was picking up more with football. It was obvious that I like have a future in football and you know, a Division I future hopefully.
Yeah.
But that whole part where the recruiting was picking up for me, there was a lot more going on with football. Like the future just seemed a little bit brighter with football.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like that was the path that I need to take.
The getting back to track, you ran track this year. I mean, was that a surprise? Were you just bored? What motivated you there?
Yeah, I just felt it felt a little weird not doing a spring sport.
Yeah,
I've always done baseball since I was little, so it felt a little weird not doing a spring sport, and I felt like track would be the most beneficial to me for football because that's a part of my game that I always hear I can improve on is getting faster. So I did track. I ran basically for 2 months or whatever it was, and it's been paying off so far. My 40 time has gone down. So
wow,
yeah. So
but you were a sprinter. I
I wouldn't say I was, you know, the top notch sprinter, but yeah, I did sprinting. I thought that would help best with my.
All right, so I got to ask. Okay, I got to ask you. So there's what is there? There's 8 lanes. Okay,
Yep.
and all right, and so there's 8 people running in a sprint, and in an average one of your track meets. Where'd you finish?
Oh, I was the middle of the pack guy.
Okay,
I was never finishing last, but I definitely wasn't finishing first in any races.
Okay. I actually filled in when I was in high school. I filled in on jumped in. They needed somebody, and I actually out of 8, I finished 9th because one guy wandered onto the track that, you know, there was worry that he just kind of went through the finish line, but he just wanted, he was a worker, so I finished. That was a running joke. But anyway, that's big. You know, I mean, you did that, you made that sacrifice. That's awesome. Joined again, guys, in studio all day long or all morning long. Connor Ackerley joining our team here on the Varsity Sports Show for the summer, interning with us, learning some broadcasting and media and having fun with it. You'll hear him every week. We're going to go to our first segment, and it's a memorial, and we are going to honor one of our fallen heroes. Go ahead, Aaron.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Austin Hepola interning with Varsity Sports Show this summer. And in the midst of Memorial Day weekend, I am joined here by Tiffany Daniels. And Tiffany's grandfather, Ronald Thomas, was a U.S. veteran. And we are here to talk about his impact on our country. So, Tiffany, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I wanted to ask also, I understand that you also served in the military. Is that true?
That's correct. I was in the Air Force.
Oh, in the Air Force. Awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Oh,
And
thank you very much.
yeah. And also, do you know which branch Mr. Thomas served in, and also
He-
for how long?
He was in the Marines, and I believe he was in for 8 years.
8 years. Oh, wow. That's
Mhm.
quite a long time there. Did he share any stories with you from his time in the military? And if so, you know, did any particular one stand out with you and stick with you?
Yeah, he told us quite a few. He was always really proud of his service, But I think the funniest one, the one that always stood out for me, is he worked in like infantry, and they were messing around one day, and he used to have a flamethrower, which I think is absolutely insane because, how often do you get to do that? And of course, boys will be boys. They were like trying to burn each other's hair off with this flamethrower. And I will never forget that story. I don't know why, but it's so crazy to me.
He sounds like quite the character. Was he always that crazy, or?
Yeah, he always was. I mean, he joined the Marines when he was 17 and just went out, and he was always excited to see the world and help people. And he always told me it felt like it was his true calling.
Wow, that's amazing. Did he have an influence on you? I'm assuming he had, quite an influence on you, but did he have an influence on you when you decided to join the military?
Absolutely. When I first was thinking about what I wanted to do after high school, I really struggled with, what I really wanted. And he always told stories about the military. And he sat me down one day and just said, "You know what, Tiffany, the military was one of the best things I ever did in my life. And maybe you should really look into it. It really gives you purpose and direction and a sense of self and a sense of honor." So, I really thought about it and sat down. And the very next day, I went to the recruiting office.
Wow, it's incredible. What would you like the world to know about your grandfather, whether it's his time in the military or maybe just outside of the military? Would you like the world to know anything about him?
No, he was just an absolutely loving, caring, amazing person. Would give you the shirt off his back. He just really was the best person. I miss him so much every day.
Yeah, he sounds like a great human being. And once again, this is Austin Hepola with Varsity Sports Radio Show, joined here by Tiffany Daniels. Tiffany, I do want to thank you for your time and thank you for your service. And again, may your grandfather rest in peace.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. You have a nice day, and thank you.
You too.
We'll do what's best for the team, and we'll do what's best for you.
The Rich Eisen Show, coming to you weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
Hello, sports fans. This is Dick Stockton, and you are listening to Arizona's home of youth, high school, college, and you. The Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona.
The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, with an experience so good it remains indescribable, with something for every seafood lover. Try one of their amazing custom seafood boils, sandwiches, appetizers, and salads. Angry Crab Shack Tempe is located east of I-10 on Warner Road, 480-674-3847. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Come ready to eat.
What's up, everybody? My name is Austin Hepola, and I am a senior attending the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University. This summer, you will get a hands-on experience from me right here on Varsity Sports Show. My goal is to showcase the amazing sports communities scattered throughout the entire valley. As an Arizona native myself, I plan to give these communities the proper light they deserve. I look forward to delivering the most authentic and genuine stories for you all these next few months. Until next time, take it easy.
James Out West brings NFL, NBA, MLB, and local sports talk to you Monday night starting at 7 on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS 1060 app.
I'm Brooke Early with the Varsity Sports Show, and today I will be interviewing special guest Colton Smith from the University of Arizona men's tennis team. Colton, this is your second year on the U of A tennis team after your team had a record-breaking year. What are some of your expectations coming in this year?
Yeah, I mean, definitely coming in this year, we had high hopes of making a run in the NCAA tournament, but also kind of accomplishing some of the goals that we had set out last year that we weren't able to accomplish. And yeah, I mean, just with the team, we had most everybody coming back that played last year, and then we were adding on some freshmen. And so we had really high hopes of doing something that we hadn't done before.
You have incredible highlights this year, for example, getting a first team award in the Pac-12 conference and making it to the NCAA singles tournament for the first time this year. You're currently at NCAA's. What are the emotions you felt leading up to this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the rankings and everything, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be able to get into the tournament. Some things kind of lined up, and so I was able to kind of squeak in to this tournament. And I mean, it was something that I wanted to come to since last year. And so to have the opportunity to come here this year, especially with Jonas being his last year, it was super cool. And yeah, I just felt like kind of a good place to kind of prove myself.
Yeah, you have a couple more years left, so you can really go far. I'm visiting with Colton Smith from the University of Arizona men's tennis team. So you jumped into one of the top spots on your team. What did you do differently this year that you didn't do last year?
I think a lot of it just came with experience, figuring out how to play college tennis. I mean, it's definitely a bit of a culture shock coming from juniors, going into college tennis, being on a team. And so I think last year was a really good kind of icebreaker in a way, getting me ready for this year and the years to come. But yeah, just being able to kind of adapt better to being in a team and playing for a team versus playing for myself.
The start of this next season is coming up in a few months. What do you want to achieve next season?
I mean, we still are yet to make it to the Elite Eight. So making it to the Elite Eight and farther, that's for sure going to be another one of our goals. But also winning another Pac-12 regular season title.
Yeah, no, totally. You guys have gotten so many titles of in-season wins, but have yet to win the actual Pac-12 tournament. So hopefully in the next few years, you guys can accomplish that. Again, my name is Brooke Early from the Varsity Sports Show, joined by Colton Smith of the U of A men's tennis team. Thank you so much for tuning in and have an amazing weekend.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Vince DeLisio joined in studio by Connor Ackerley. And Connor, you big tennis guy? You play tennis?
My mom was.
Really?
My mom was. She played tennis in high school.
Okay.
So,
a big sport that's that is like making a real mark in this country is pickleball.
Pickleball,
you
yeah.
ever play
oh
pickleball?
My goodness, yeah.
It's like it reminds me of the people that follow. What's the name of that singer? God, I'll think of it. Not the Grateful Dead, but people that Jimmy Buffett. You got these weird, it's just a culture, and they're all into pickleball, and it's like almost like a cult. But anyway,
it's growing a lot.
They tell me it's fun. I don't know. My in-laws live in Sun City Grand, and they're like 90, and they play, and so I don't know. Can it be? Is it that hard? I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I've played it a few times.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah. So Colton Smith, we've dialed it down today, guys. We're in studio and we're getting to know our new broadcast team member for the summer. We were, Brooke Early brought us a great report on Colton Smith, University of Arizona tennis team. Of course, they won the conference this year and put together some wins this season. They finished overall. They were 23-7 and doing a lot of public address announcing for the ASU Sun Devil program. I get a chance to kind of watch a lot of these different sports, and tennis is a fun one to watch. Men's tennis, women's tennis is a little bit better than the men's team this year, but I had a chance to see the men when they played the U of A, and I tell you what, that U of A tennis team pretty solid. So it's kind of fun to see all of that and to see other sports that you're not necessarily used to watching and to see the fan reactions and all that as well. But Connor, let's, I want to transition. I want to talk a little bit about 7-on-7 because that's big in the summer. Back when I was in high school, 7-on-7 was kind of it wasn't what it is now. It was a way to stay in shape in the off season if you didn't want to, go wrestle or you didn't want to participate in track. You went and did 7-on-7. You had a couple of, they called it passing league. You did some passing league and that was it. Now it's like a thing. I mean, a big thing.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal here in Arizona.
Yeah, and you guys do a lot of 7-on-7s. Coach Barrow have you doing a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, we have a few tournaments lined up for this summer. It's more just, we're going to get our timing down with receivers and, just help me be able to read a defense, because that's all you're doing pretty much, reading a defense and throwing to your receivers on time. But, we're going to – our first one's going to be ACU here in 4 days on the 31st. And then we're gonna head up to NAU. We're going to do their 7 tournament. We're going to ASU. We're going to do their 7 tournament twice.
Wow.
And then U of A has 2 sevens tournaments. They do one on June 5th and one on June 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And then the newest sevens tournament that we have is this Just Chili Fight Club.
Okay.
Which Chili has set up pretty much himself.
Yeah.
And has turned into a pretty big deal. And he likes to boast. When I talk to him, he likes to boast that the Open Division champions won his sevens tournament. So whoever wins it next year is going to win the Open. So
really,
that's his.
Wow. Okay.
That's his running joke now. But
yeah,
his thing's turned into a pretty big deal too. So sevens has become a pretty big deal out here in the Valley. I feel like
like you said, you get a chance to work on your timing and all that. You and the receivers and even the backs. You get a lot of college coaches attending these events.
Like I just said, there's ASU, U of A, NAU.
Yeah.
They host them.
Yeah.
And I know like the San Diego States, they'll host them. Pretty much every college will host one, but you don't usually get college coaches coming to a lot of these camps. Like obviously you're not going to get like U of A at the ASU camp or at the ASU 7-7,
right.
but like even the Just Chili Fight Club, like. You don't really get a lot of colleges, and I'm not sure if that's because it's during a dead period or something. Because I think there's a dead period during June or July or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if they just, I don't know how much stock they really put into sevens, but all these colleges are hosting it, so obviously they want to see some people, but. So, there's a little bit of recruiting going on.
More importantly, for you see it as a chance to bond with your teammates, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole, because you guys are together. No one's off doing other things they, either they shouldn't be doing or on vacation sitting on a beach somewhere. That you're actually together, you're working. And so that's that extra opportunity to practice, right?
Yeah, and it's competition. It's all that stuff. It's football, but without a line. So, a lot of people like to say, oh, it's not football, but, you're out there competing. You're out there, it's 70 you guys versus 7 of their guys.
Yeah.
Trying to beat into their team. And I think what it helped us the most with it was the fact that, we weren't playing against ourselves all summer.
Yeah.
Because in the past we've just been playing against ourselves all summer, and then we kind of got into the tackle season, and it was like, oh, okay, these guys are trying to beat us now. Like, we're not just like, going against each other.
Yeah.
So being able to play other teams and compete against other teams before the season starts and keep our competitive juices kind of flowing through the summer.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier to turn it on in August and in September.
I also, before we transition and talk about other things, I want to talk about camp, because and that was one thing we didn't, and I forgot to mention this when we were off mic, because we were talking about some of the things we were going to discuss in our segments today. And by the way, guys, joined by Connor Ackerley, joining our team this summer as a broadcast intern, and so you'll be hearing his content all summer long, and then we'll talk about some of your content. And Connor, of course, obviously the quarterback out at Corona del Sol, will be a senior this year out there. Camp. I had a lot of fun coming to your guys' camp last year. I did this summer camp tour, and I put together segments, and it ended up being it was about 2-hour show that we just jam-packed with. I visited 21, 22 camps out there, summer camps. And one of my last stops was at Camp Tonazona last year at the end of July. And the day that I showed up, it was pouring rain. I don't know if you remember, but
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And it was pouring, and it was a blast. You had music blaring. You guys were out on the field, and you called it, or just as I got there, and I was able to capture some video of it. But tell us about the camp experience.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. Being away from home for a week, it could get a little trying at times.
Yeah,
but that's definitely part of it. Is it being trying and it being challenging, and you gotta form bonds with your teammates if you want to get through it. You can't just be like off to the side and be a loner. So that's I feel like is the overarching thing in camp.
When I chatted with Coach Barrow during that camp. And, we met in the cafeteria there with the backdrop being kind of the little wall of fame of different pictures of past camp participants, old former Sun Devils. And so we're sitting there chatting, and a lot of schools that go up to camp, they'll rent the facility with other schools, other teams. When I went that day to see you guys were there all alone. And it was because you had some ungodly number, like 150 people.
We brought a lot of kids up there.
Yeah. What was that like? I mean, not only was it your core, your varsity, but all these young guys, and seeing them compete. Did you get a chance? I know things were, you're up there and you're competing and eyes are on you, and so you got to be perfect. But did you ever get a chance to kind of step back when you weren't in and just kind of see other moving parts and things? What did you come away with?
Yeah, we had our practices, and then we'd go watch the film from the practices.
Yeah.
And I would always kind of I would do my practice, do my film, and then I would stay with the JV and watch film. And part of that was because I would try to help out the quarterbacks a little bit, but then part of that was I just wanted to see what it looks like from the outside looking in, almost what these team meetings look like. So yeah, it definitely gave me a chance to kind of step back and just see like what's going on. It was just like when I got hurt later in the year last year, and I was able to step back and just watch practices. It like gives you a chance to step back and see the full scope of things, and kind of it helps understand like what's going on.
Did you feel like it helped you become a better player to watch other guys? Did you have some coaching points? Was there a familiar, a repeated tone of certain things that you would catch that you could help other guys with?
Yeah, it was that, and then it was like being able to, if you're able to coach somebody up, you can almost say things that haven't registered with you yet. So there was some things where you would say it, and then I'd be like, oh, like I should use that more often. Like I'm saying it, but I don't really do it. So maybe if I should try to do that more often. And then there'd be like, if another coach was talking to another quarterback, I listen to them, and if they brought something up that guy did wrong, then like that was something that I would have to, look at and fix.
Okay. Guys, when we come back from the break, we'll be joined once again by Connor Ackerley, who's joining us in studio all day, as well as Camelback High School head football coach Brandon McNutt. Join us on the Varsity Sports Show. We'll be right back.
Carving out time in your afternoon for the Doug Gottlieb Show right here on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 HD2, and KDUS1060.com. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
Hi, this is the Director of Community Engagement for Hospice of the Valley, Lynn Sue Cooney, and you are just not cool if you are not listening to the Varsity Sports Show, the home of youth, high school, college, and you on AM 1060 KDUS, Arizona.
Hey, local businesses, join the Varsity Sports Show and promote your business on our weekly radio show and game live streams. We have several options to promote your business affordably and reach our incredible audience. Call, text, or email us anytime if you'd like more information on joining our team. The Varsity Sports Show will work hard to promote your business through our audio and video platforms while also promoting all of our young people. 480-779-9437 or email us at varsitysportshow.com. Chris Scott of RE/MAX is Central Oregon's best realtor for anyone thinking of a vacation home or relocation. He's our very own born and raised Phoenician who moved his family to Central Oregon nearly 15 years ago. Contact Chris if you're thinking of exploring beautiful Central Oregon. It truly is living at its best. 541-999-5614. Proud partner of the Varsity Sports Shows, it's Dylan. Coaches, the Varsity Sports Show wants to be part of your team in 2023. We have a proven track record of providing the most coverage of your teams with Thursday and Friday night football. We will spotlight your players with multi-camera game broadcasts, pre- and post-game interviews, and segments on our Saturday morning radio show. With over 100 games broadcast in 2022, we will be exceptional for your team. Call, text, or email 480-220-4629 or info@varsitysportshow.com.
SB Nation Radio is now Sports Map Radio, keeping sports content fresh and fun. Join us right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona. Vince DeLisio in studio with Connor Ackerley. Connor, are you a big Van Halen guy? I grew up in the 80s. You
Might be a little older for me.
Come on, my God, some of that stuff is timeless. You know, it's just good music. It's classic stuff. Anyway, but I get it. I understand. You'll learn to appreciate it in the future. So we actually have a special guest joining us this morning. All of our guests are special, but this guy we did a little bit of work with the past couple of years. He stepped into some mighty shoes because he is the head football coach at my alum, Camelback High School, and so he is a constant source. He's getting scrutinized constantly by me. I give him a hard time about everything and anything, and I'm still waiting for that statue of Vince DeLisio to appear in front of the school. It's not there yet, but hopefully it will be. Coach Brandon McNutt. Coach McNutt, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
Coach, I want to know what's going on at my alma mater. How are things going? What are you building over there?
Man, what are you talking about? I tell you what, we've been starting after that disappointing loss at the end of the year. And,
yeah.
It was crazy. Actually, I gave the kids a week off, everything. And actually, they were like, Coach, we got to get back to work. So at Monday, that day, that Monday after the season, we showed up at 6 a.m. and it's been going on from that point on.
Yeah, Coach, it's Connor Ackerley here. So I kind of had the same experience as you guys. Corona, we lost in the first round of the playoffs. Did you notice like a shift in your team's attitude when you guys came back from the season?
Wow, excellent. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Because this is our second year, it's come down to the last game, region on the line, playoffs on the line, and we were really young the first time we got in this position. We played a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. They got to that point. And then this year, I'm going to put it on my shoulder. I think we looked beyond the Central game, and I think the kids felt that as well. Excellent point. From that point on, it's been the gas pedal has been pushed all the way to the floor. I mean, these kids have been going.
It's interesting, Coach, is there's not many coaches that get a redo, a second chance at something. And you led the program a few years back. Then you took a step back so you can concentrate on some things at home with your own family. And then you came back. What's the difference between part one, Brandon McNutt, and part two? You look a little bit older, I got to tell you that, but and that's being kind. But part two,
it's kind. You know what? It's. I wish everybody could do it, especially at the same place. Because I've been a head coach as a head coach at Hayden, and then they were grooming me to Maryville, and then I went to Camelback where. My father's an alumni, and then you get a chance to reflect on the first four and what really matters in an essence. And especially with me coming to the end of my career, the focus has changed. Especially growth as a head coach, as a man and with your team. The things that you worry about, you find out that you really shouldn't be worrying about that. That energy is lost in that moment. I'm really enjoying. You can see it in our kids and my coaches and the staff and what's happening at Camelback. I'm just enjoying what my love, the passion that I've always had for this game and what it's given to me. So it's a great position. I mean, I wish other coaches could do that at the same school. Where you get a break to reflect and then you come back. I think we all kind of look at that even at jobs or relationships. You could take a break, reflect, and then find out what really matters. It totally changed the attitude. I'm having a blast, to be honest. It's exciting things happening at Spartan Land.
Yeah, Coach. So I knew Max Martin. I trained with him a little bit. I threw with him at GO. And I know he was a class of 23. He's going to Western New Mexico. How is it going to be different this year, and what challenges does it kind of provide to you as a coach when you're having a change in leadership like that at the quarterback position?
Max came in. He came in his junior year had to sit 5, came in. I love it. I'll be honest. I love it when I get kids that come in from different areas because they bring in a different type of mindset. Not saying that, Callenbeck's got its own great things. And, we got our strengths and weaknesses. He brought in some strengths that we needed, especially with that liberty and what kind of looks, what a program looks, a championship program looks like. So he did a great job. I mean, the expectations, the showing up every day, the hard work, the pushing, he understood about building relationships. So, I mean, he was always taking the linemen to his house and going to swimming and all that stuff. So he's definitely getting people involved. It's carried on to the next team so that my younger guys saw how a leader is supposed to lead the team. So it's been a great. And now we got Rocco who's coming in. He was a sophomore at Arcadia, threw for 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns. Had to sit last year coming in. What I think Max, actually, the only thing, again, looking back, I mean, I think if Rocco was eligible this year, game 6, I think that actually would have pushed Max a little harder. That's one thing, competition we haven't had. Luckily this year we do. Rocco's coming in. I got this incoming freshman coming in. He's looking good. I got Angel Sevilla. So there's a lot of competition at the quarterback level this year that's going to push all 3 of them.
Coach, it's interesting that you say that because there was a number of years where there were some rough years, and everybody knows that when they talk about Phoenix Union and the teams and the competition, and there's a lot of inexperience on the field and things that. But now it feels like there's an expectation that you guys have to get it done. And there was a lot of disappointment in that final game. You're playing for a league title, and you came away and couldn't get it done in that final game. What kind of pressure does that put on you? Do you wish you can go back to those old days where you had those lean years and you just kind of nobody really knew you were out there?
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, the stresses of, which one do you want? Pick your poison. But no, at the end of the day, going for read. I mean, what we play the games. What are we trying to teach? Not just these kids in football, just in life. To go get what and to push them at that level. So I mean, it's actually again created even for myself. I mean, the expectations of me looking within as well as myself and my coaching and my school, and they're responding. Like I said, I mean, we got the new field house, we're getting that new press box, we got new speakers, they're getting a new scoreboard. I mean, so everybody is having to raise their game, not just the football team. So I like the pressure. It's a great experience. It's something we're definitely looking forward to.
Camelback High School head football coach Brandon McNutt, my alma mater. Coach, I am excited, and I hope we have an opportunity to do some work with you this fall. And we've been in talks, so hopefully we can get something done. We'd love to cover you guys. You'd be likely the only Phoenix Union school we'd be covering as part of our schedule this year. So it's enjoyable. You're great to talk to, and you're always approachable, and we appreciate that, Coach. Good luck the rest of the summer. We'll talk to you soon.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So, Connor, we decided this week would be a special show. We would interject some segments on honoring fallen heroes. Yep. And tell us about the guy that you chose.
Yeah, so I chose Pat Tillman. Obviously, a lot of people probably know him already as Arizona State Sun Devil, Arizona Cardinal, turned into a veteran. But when I was growing up, my dad, I met him a few times, knew him a little bit. So my dad always kind of, used him as like almost an example, I guess, to us younger kids when we were like, hey, this guy was brave. He's courageous. He's what any coach, boss, friend, family member, anyone would want in their life. So he has kind of turned into this like idol for teams that my dad's coached, for me, and just for like a lot of people around Arizona.
Okay, Aaron, let's run it.
Hi, I'm Connor Ackerley with the Varsity Sports Show. Today I'll be talking about Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman was born on November 6, 1976 in San Jose, California, where he was the oldest of 3 sons. He went to Leland High School and led his team to a state championship and even earned a scholarship from Arizona State University. He then attended ASU from 1994 to 1997, where he excelled at linebacker, including leading his team to a Rose Bowl and winning the Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year. He was then drafted to the Arizona Cardinals in the 7th round and played with them from 1998 to 2001. He quickly became popular with Arizona sports fans after breaking the franchise record for tackles of the season. He became even more popular after showcasing his loyalty and declining a large contract offer with the St. Louis Rams in order to stay with the Cardinals. However, Tillman's playing career is not what made him famous. What made Tillman famous is when he turned down $3.6 million from the Cardinals to enlist in the U.S. Army after the September 11 attacks. This bravery and courage resonated deeply with many Americans in this dark time. Unfortunately, Tillman was killed in the line of duty on April 22, 2004. His legacy still lives on today through the Pat Tillman Foundation, Pat's Run, and a statue dedicated to him outside of State Farm Stadium. To this day, Tillman is still regarded as one of the most courageous individuals this country has ever seen. Again, I'm Connor Ackerley with the Varsity Sports Show. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Varsity Sports Show, where our mission is to empower education and enable dreams, creating an unmatched platform to showcase talent both in front of and behind the microphone in radio, television, podcast, and live streaming. The Varsity Sports Show, still your home for youth, high school, college, and you in Arizona and beyond.
Broadcasting from the Superbook Sports Studios, KDUS AM 1060 Tempe, Phoenix, and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale, Phoenix.
The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, with an experience so good it remains indescribable, with something for every seafood lover. Try one of their amazing custom seafood boils, sandwiches, appetizers, and salads. Angry Crab Shack Tempe is located east of I-10 on Warner Road, 480-674-3847. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Come ready to eat. In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
Hello, this is local voiceover model and former Daddy Yankee stunt double, Mario Malaby. Be sure to DM us your questions for Ask Lucas on Twitter. And you are listening to the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS, Arizona.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe, Phoenix, and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale, Phoenix.
This program is paid for by the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization, and its partners.
You're listening to the Varsity Sports Show, home of Arizona's youth, high school, college sports, and you, empowering education and enabling dreams, right here on KDUS AM 1060 in Arizona. And now, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Vince DeLisio joined in studio and on a special show to honor our fallen heroes for Memorial Day coming up on Monday. It's not just a 3-day weekend. There's a lot here to reflect on. And even in our own town, Connor, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm active I live in the town of Carefree, just north of Scottsdale, and where I serve as an elected official on our town council. It's fun. It's a little bit of work, but it's not as, like what you would think about politics and all that. It's more about public service. And every year on Memorial Day, Veterans Day, we do something also to reflect on our those that have served. But Memorial Day, we've got a cemetery in our town, and we have a ceremony out there, and we get guest speakers, and gives you a chance to really, again, reflect, think back. Wow, look at where we are. Look at the kind of, the amazing place we live in. That has its share of problems also. We're not discounting any of that, but also the freedoms that we have and those that have fought for those freedoms in representing us. And so we're doing that and honoring those fallen heroes throughout the show. But we're also giving you a platform and getting to know you. And as you work with us this summer, you're submitting content as well as co-hosting the show throughout the summer. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Are you doing more talking than you thought you would be today?
Maybe just a little bit.
A little bit. You thought you'd just kind of be in the background and just yes, no once in a while. That's it. But
it's about sports, so I could talk about sports.
That's it
all day.
I'll tell you what, man. I told you you'd be involved this summer. I wasn't kidding. You're not filling coffee cups here. You're actually doing work and contributing content. And the idea is, look, if you're going to produce some content or you're going to come on the air, it can't suck. It's got to be good, and that's what it's about because you're delivering it. Do you want to introduce our next guest? Who's this person that's on the phone with us right now?
Yeah, this person on the phone with us, as you said, legendary broadcaster, legendary journalist, works with the Diamondbacks and the Coyotes. This is Jody Jackson, also known as my mom.
That's weird. Jody, how are you?
I am good. I'm enjoying the show, and for once, it's not me talking. It's nice to hear other people.
Yeah.
It's like when you're a broadcaster, you enjoy hearing other people do the shows. And I just want to say, by the way, and of course, we had Aaron covering Corona last year. I've met a number of people through the years. I think Noel was one of the. You've had so many people come through, and I just want to thank you for giving these kids the opportunity because when I was in high school, we didn't have anything like this, and then when I was at the University of Miami, I had to wait until my junior year to get an internship, and even then, I didn't do anything on the air. Back then, kids have so many opportunities today because of people like you, and so I just want to thank you for that. Because not just Connor, but obviously all the kids. There's hundreds of kids that have come through your program.
Well, thank you so much for that, Jody, and and not to toot my own horn, but I'm going to toot my own horn here. We are the largest internship provider right now for the Cronkite School of Journalism, and we're doing more. We had 20 last fall with us. There were some, and it's such a professional group that they were head and shoulders by far, an amazing group. You mentioned Noel Blumel, who just graduated, very talented. We had some others, Shai Gara, who will be coming back again this year. He was play-by-play for Connor's games last year, and Aaron Herpy was a color analyst. She did an amazing job. Erin was a photographer, and I handed her a mic, and she's like, "What do I do with this?" And she blossomed. She was amazing, and it has grown, and it has given a platform, and we have a lot of fun with it, and they do a great job. And so it's an honor for me, particularly when they move on and they get jobs in this field after they graduate. And we've been able to place a few, and it continues to grow, and now expanding into the Tempe Union High School District in creating those opportunities and a pipeline, and I love it, and it's gratifying for me. So thank you for acknowledging that. It means a lot. Now, I want to talk about your son, because he approached us and said, I'm a budding up and coming broadcaster. I want to do this. Does he have a future in this?
Oh, absolutely, he does. So when he was young, and it's funny hearing him talk, he doesn't really see it like I do as his mom. He doesn't really remember all the little things he used to do. But he used to kind of interview me. He would, I don't know if it was even before, no, it was cell phone. Cell phones were kind of like the iPhone was kind of new where you could just record at will, right? So he would interview me about the D-backs game or the ASU football games. And actually I covered a lot of football earlier in my career. It was more football. Now it's more baseball. He knew all the stats. He would have, I think Taylor Kelly was the quarterback at the time, and he would have this board, right? Taylor Kelly, his season stats, 117
Wow.
for 183 for so-and-so yards and touchdowns. And he just was very sharp with it. He was very sharp with, knowing the players' names and the stats and the schemes. And then when he was playing flag football, so I heard you guys talking earlier about that. And what I remember is, yes, Chad was the coach, and yes, all these kids, were on the team. Some of them didn't continue football, but it's been fun to watch them all do whatever they're doing. When we went to a graduation party last night, and the one kid, is now going to go play baseball. But, at that time, they were all just playing flag football. And Connor was really a leader of that team, even, I'm talking 6 or 7 years old. And when they were going up against the bigger kids, there were some kids that were older and had the taller receivers, and this was NYS, right? And they, you would play fall and spring, and they did it from so twice a year from age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And finally and every year they would get to the final, they got better and better, and then Connor wanted to win it so bad, win the championship. And so finally, 3 years in, when they finally had some taller kids that could, jump over and catch the ball and whatnot. And when they won that, it sounds ridiculous, but that was so amazing to watch. I've watched a lot of pro sports and things but these group of kids, how they wanted to win that championship and get the trophy. And then when they did, it was kind of emotional, and they were, 10 years old or whatever it was, and maybe 9 even. And I knew then how bad he wanted to play football, and baseball, but particularly football, and be the quarterback and be that guy that kind of in the huddle was telling guys how important this one moment or this play was or whatever it was. So I don't think he looks at it like that. And he also funny, he used to take pennies and nickels and do he would have the linemen and he would draw up plays and he would have arrows and he would put the pennies where the receivers should be.
I love it.
I know, it's all that stuff I thought was so cool. Because you just deal with pro athletes or even college, and then now it's my own child. I'm what? Oh my gosh, he's pretty. I'm he's pretty advanced for a youngster.
He wants to ask you a question here. He's chomping at the bit. Go ahead, Connor.
Okay, what do you got?
Yeah.
Well, as a journalist in pro sports and stuff like that, is it hard, even with Caitlin, is it hard to come back from a D-backs game or from a Cardinals game or a Coyotes game and watch me or Caitlin's game and have to turn off that journalist voice in your head?
I don't know how much you know this. I feel like you might know it, but so it's different, right? But in the family, we joke that Chad's the hype man, and the kids can do no wrong, and then I'm the one that Caitlin said this a couple weeks ago. She was telling her friends, and I'm just standing there. She goes, "My mom's the one that keeps us humble." I will not be afraid to criticize them. I will say, well, you got to do that, not necessarily specific things about a swing in baseball or about a throw, but it's just more about the bottom line of are you getting it done or not? But so actually, no, in that way, my mind doesn't switch over because it's okay, are you, it's kind of the bottom line result to me needs to be the same, whether it's the D-backs or these kids that, but as far as the emotional side, watching them, it's just a lot of pride and a lot of, I don't really say much when Connor's on offense, and it was how do I put it? It's a little nerve-wracking watching, when people are chasing after your kid and trying to knock the ball out. But when they're on offense, I'm actually recording a lot, and I just don't say anything. It's more so when Corona's on defense, it's when I get to scream my head off and I just go crazy. But when they're on offense, I'm just watching. I'm just kind of taking it all in, and I've been amazed with what he's been able to do. He's, I don't know. What was the question again, Connor?
I think the question was, Mom, why don't you lay off us a little bit? Yeah, we're not pro athletes. Lay off a little bit, huh? Cut us some slack.
I do have that. I'm not the typical. I shouldn't say that because there's a lot of, I guess, dads get the bad rap. Dads are always ranting about what they should have done and what the kid. But I'm kind of a good man. It's not. I'm not. But I'm also not blind to just I'm not always just going to be oh, that was amazing if it wasn't, you know what I mean? So but
criticism.
On the other side, I was a baton twirler. I wasn't really an athlete, And so I'm amazed at what my kid, like I think about my children, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so talented. And, you know, they've worked really hard for it, but they're both really athletic. And
yeah.
Well, tell us about your high school tennis career. We had a U of A tennis player on today. Why don't you? I tried to tell him that you played in high school.
I was terrible. I was known as the first Broward County for a while there. Had the longest match in Broward County, Florida history.
Wow.
Because I never had the killer instinct. I could never have like the killer shot.
Yeah.
I would just return. I'd try to, you know, there was no. And my mother told me as such. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not. I don't go for this route, you know.
Yeah.
But
well, you're.
That was me.
Yeah. Well. Veteran broadcaster Jody Jackson joining us, who happens to be Connor's mom. So, Jody, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks for taking time out this morning. And yeah, your son's got some talent here. So he's not only on the field, obviously, but he's got some instinct. I even saw him smile once this morning. So I can't say that I saw. It's
early.
big.
He's always been the early riser. But no, one quick thing is he was always really in class. Growing up, he always did projects on Pat Tillman, and so it's really cool that he has that platform today. So thanks again. You guys have fun. I'm just a listener. I'll enjoy.
Awesome. Thanks, Jody. Thanks for calling in. Take it away,
Connor.
Aaron.
Bye, Mom.
I'm Brooke Early from the Varsity Sports Show, and today we are joined by a very special guest, my grandmother, Michelle Early, here to talk about her father, Mel Wayne, who was a World War II veteran. Now, Grandma, tell me about your father. What is his story?
Well, when he was 17, he had already graduated from high school, and he begged his mother to let him go into the Navy to help the war. And she signed a document for him to do that at 17. And when I see his photographs, he looks like a baby. He looks so young to be going into a war, but that's what a lot of them did that time.
He definitely seems like he was really into it. That's awesome. I know your father loved a specific song and he held on to it for more. Do you remember the name of that song and why it was so important to him?
This house I lived in. It's about what America means to me. And it was by Frank Sinatra, who was his absolute favorite singer in the whole world. He has every album, or he had every album of Frank Sinatra. And we always knew what to get him for Christmas or his birthday was a Frank Sinatra album.
That's so funny. I love it. All right. Again, I'm here with Michelle Early, who is the daughter of the war veteran Mel Wayne. So what was his most important story that he told you about his time away?
Well, the one was in Iwo Jima. When they landed, there was just fighting going on everywhere, from what he told me. And the Marines were the main guys on the land. And his captains told the guys, get your butts down, keep them down. And my dad said that was the best advice I've ever received. I guess it was pretty bloody. And my father said he admired the Marines so much in their character, their judgment, how they handled themselves, that he decided at that time he was going to become a Marine after he finished his Navy.
That's very sweet. Well, thank you for coming on here and telling your dad's story. My name's Brooke Early from the Varsity Sports Show, here with my grandmother, Michelle Early. Thank you so much for listening and have an amazing weekend.
Listener rewards for you with the KDUS 1060 app. Download today to hear all of the national and local shows you love. That's the KDUS 1060 app.
Hi, this is Rob Maggs, Vince's life coach and surfing coach to the Beach Bum Beal. You're listening live to the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS.
Chris Scott of RE/MAX is Central Oregon's best realtor for anyone thinking of a vacation home or relocation. He's our very own born and raised Phoenician who moved his family to Central Oregon nearly 15 years ago. Contact Chris if you're thinking of exploring beautiful Central Oregon. It truly is living at its best. 541-999-5614. Proud partner of the Varsity Sports Shows, it's Dylan. Coaches, the Varsity Sports Show wants to be part of your team in 2023. We have a proven track record of providing the most coverage of your teams with Thursday and Friday night football. We will spotlight your players with multi-camera game broadcasts, pre- and post-game interviews, and segments on our Saturday morning radio show. With over 100 games broadcast in 2022, we will be exceptional for your team. Call, text, or email 480-220-4629 or info@varsitysportshow.com.
Have you downloaded the KDUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Austin Hepola, interning with the Varsity Sports Radio Show, and today it is my honor to present to you all a legendary coach in the basketball sporting world and also a Hall of Famer for Mountain View High School, Mr. Gary Ernst. Mr. Ernst, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Awesome. I just want to get right into this and ask, you know, you're the winningest coach in the state of Arizona with a state record of 943 games. I just want to ask, like, what is your coaching philosophy, and has that philosophy ever changed from your first year of coaching all the way up through your last year of coaching?
Well, my philosophy has always been team-oriented basketball. So that hasn't changed from the very beginning. That's just what I believe strongly in, and I've always felt like a team can be better than an individual, so we always tried to promote that. The style of coaching has changed, certainly. Well, the three-point line was the biggest adjustment I had to work with. But my early coaching years was pound the ball inside, and then get the ball back out. And then the three-point shot came into effect, and I was a little stubborn for a while, then realized how important that could be. And so then we changed style a little bit more to implementing the three-point shot.
Right, and I was going to ask you as well, you know, this generation of basketball has greatly changed, you know, over the course of the few decades. I want to ask you, what are some of the essential qualities that you believe coaches should have nowadays to instill on these kids?
Well, I see a lot of things I don't like, but I'm old school. I just think that discipline is extremely important, that you're not teaching just discipline for your team, but you're teaching discipline for the future of those kids. If they don't learn it when they're young, it's really hard to develop that later on. So that would be extremely important. Loyalty is real big to me, and I don't see a lot of that in some places today with kids bouncing around. College kids obviously are doing it. High school kids are now doing it as well. And I just think loyalty by the coach and by the team members is extremely important too.
Right, no doubt. And to ask another question on top of that, in what ways do you think a coach at the high school level impacts the lives of these students?
Well, I was lucky when I was in high school. Sam Duane Sr. was my high school coach. So I think I learned at a very early age how important that role model was because he was certainly that for me. So I've always attempted to do the best I could to be a role model and do things the right way. Certainly I've made my mistakes along the way too, but I've always tried to set a good example for the kids that they can follow. And for the most part, kids want that. They want the discipline, they want to be held accountable, and if they don't, then they're probably not going to be a very good team member.
Nearly 4 decades, I believe, of coaching experience, right?
Over 50 years.
Yeah, unbelievable. I wanted to ask you, what is your proudest moment or maybe even favorite memory of your entire coaching career? Does one stick out to you?
Oh, boy. Well, the greatest memory was in my first year of coaching. I met my wife and married my wife, so that was the very top. And she'd been so loyal to our program everywhere I've been, Chandler, Aztec, and here, and now Gilbert. You know, there's just been so many. I just think of game winners. I think of 4 overtime wins in the state tournament. I think of an undefeated 95 team. I think of back-to-back in 98 and 99, and I think of back-to-back-to-back in 5, 6, and 7. And then my last one in 11 was special year or two because the team just kind of put it together down the stretch. But I think the relationship with kids, and regardless of whether it was a state championship team or not, the relationship I had with my players is what's been most important to me. And like most coaches, it's just really neat when those kids reach out to you and still want to communicate with you, still want to talk to you and relate to you. So that's been a big part of it.
Yeah, it's all about those relationships, no doubt.
Yeah.
By the way, this is Austin Hepola, interning with Varsity Sports Radio Show, here with legendary coach Gary Ernst. And I got one more for you. I see, we're here at Mountain View High School. We have a book signing here. Your book is called Unbeatable. I wanted to ask if you could give a quick, synopsis of this book to our listeners. Tell them, maybe what this book is about and maybe, why they should check it out.
Well, it's mainly based upon our 1995 undefeated championship team. But Ben Staveley did a really good job. He went into what built up to that, with these kids of 95 watching our early successful teams and how that impacted them. What's really interesting is there's one chapter kind of devoted to Jess Parker. Jess Parker is Mountain View High School, our old football coach, and a lot of our kids had relationships with him, so I thought that was really a nice piece of writing that Ben included him. And then there's things about me and my coaching philosophy, my coaching style. And then the end of the book just has to do with that state tournament, when these kids won that state tournament and how difficult a challenge it was.
For all of you out there listening, the book Unbeatable is about the coach Gary Ernst here, and he's here at Mountain View High School signing today. For all of you who want to check it out, it's on Amazon, I believe, right? Or
yes. Well, as far as I know.
Okay, awesome. All right, this is Austin Hepola here at Varsity Sports Radio Show, here with, again, Hall of Famer, legendary Arizona High School basketball coach Gary Ernst. Gary, it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you
nice
very
meeting
much.
You.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona, and that feature from our very own Austin Hepola, who is a senior going into a senior year at Cronkite. Austin, nice job. One thing I told Austin this week after he got done interviewing Coach Gary Ernst, I said, you're going to have a hard time topping that because Coach Ernst, get this, you've heard of Gary Ernst. You never heard of Van Halen, but you heard of Gary Ernst.
Yeah.
And Van Halen has been around since Gary Ernst started coaching. Gary Ernst won 943 games over his career, over 38 years. 943 games. Can you just imagine that?
That's impressive.
If you ask a guy like that, Coach, what was your most memorable win? I don't even think he'll remember, But yeah, that's big. Joined in studio today. It's been kind of a fun ride this morning here with Connor Ackerley, who's joined our team this summer as a broadcast intern. All summer, you'll hear content from Connor. He'll be co-hosting the show on a rotation with our other interns. We have a couple more interns that'll be joining us as the summer goes on. Very special. You're going to love it. And Connor, what are some things you want to cover this summer?
Obviously I'm big in the high school football world.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have a lot of friends that play high school football, but I also want to look at the baseball world too.
Yeah.
Look at the basketball world. A big thing of mine would be looking at recruiting.
Yep.
Who's getting recruited from this school, who's getting recruited from this school, what colleges are coming to stuff, and just what that recruiting world looks like, because that's a world of its own, and that can get you can get confused in that world pretty easily.
Well, your mom, veteran broadcaster Jody Jackson, joined us at the top of the hour, and she's been covering the Diamondbacks for years, and she travels with the team, covers them when obviously home and away. You're a big Diamondbacks guy, you're a big Arizona sports guy, but tell us, what are your thoughts on what's going on with the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Yeah, really, really young team this year. I feel like they've definitely impressed a lot of people this year, sitting at 29-22. They're only a game and a half back of the Dodgers, which is pretty impressive because one thing is you look at the Dodgers payroll and you look at the D-backs payroll, and they're very, very different than each other's. But the D-backs right now, they're a young core of players, 29-22, 2 games up in the wild card. They've got a good pitching staff. They've got Zach Gallen is leading the charge of that pitching staff. Merrill Kelly. It looks like they're gonna get Zach Davies back here, I think today, and then the 2 young guys in Tommy Henry and Ryan Nelson, and then Brandon Fott is gonna be thrown in the rotation a little bit, but I think he's going to be the one that gets sent down today for Davies. But the ones that we should really be looking at are Corbin Carroll, all these young guys. Corbin Carroll, Dominic Fletcher had a hot start. He just got sent down though. Gabriel Moreno has surprised me.
Yeah.
Because when they traded Dalton Varsho for him, and Varsho was kind of a fan favorite last year, it felt like.
Yeah.
Because he sprouted on the scene, and then they traded him for Gabriel Moreno, which everyone was kind of like, oh, who's this new guy, this young catcher? He has impressed a lot of people this year, batting over 300 still. Great defensively, has a cannon for an arm.
Connor, are you a big stats guy in baseball? Because that's where I struggle.
A little bit. I mean, you just look at batting averages sometimes. I'm not big into like OPS and all that, but in terms of like batting averages alone, this team looks really impressive, and they've made some moves in the offseason that weren't just young guys and young core guys like Lourdes Gurriel, who he's not necessarily a young guy, but they got him from I think the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
and dude has just been impressive. He's on a 17-game hitting streak right now.
Wow.
He's been hitting the crap out of the ball right now. It's been impressive to watch, and it's crazy because he wasn't doing this in Toronto, so you kind of wonder like what changed for him in the offseason. But you love to have him on your team, and then guys like Ketel Marte that have been around for a while. He's having a good year. Christian Walker is having a good year. He's the guy who's going to get you 30 home runs a year. So just the way this team is made up, they with the young guys and the older guys or veterans mixed in.
Yeah,
the team is made up very well, and they're looking at a legitimate run at the playoffs right now, a legitimate run at definitely the wild card, but because you have to think the Dodgers are probably going to separate themselves from the pack just with the amount of stars they have. But the D-backs, they can make a push at it, man, and they're looking hot right now. They're something like 7-3 in the last 10.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Guys, when we come back from the break, we are going to continue our conversation in studio with today's co-host, Connor Ackerley, joining us all summer long, producing content and co-hosting the show. And Carefree's #1 insider, Ralph Farrow, is back with Ralph's Corner. After the break, stick around, guys, here on the Varsity Sports Show.
I'll turn those picks into gold. Wall-to-wall NFL coverage and the biggest stories coming to you from 3 to 5 p.m. The Rich Eisen Show here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
This is Carefree Arizona Mayor John Crane. When I look for political advice, I don't call Vince. But when I need a good laugh to start my weekend, I listen to Varsity Sports Show. Still Arizona's home for youth, high school, college, and you on AM 1060 KDUS.
This is Coach Lucas Ramirez, and you are listening to the home of the Saguaro Sabercats, the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS.
The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe, with an experience so good it remains indescribable, with something for every seafood lover. Try one of their amazing custom seafood boils, sandwiches, appetizers, and salads. Angry Crab Shack Tempe is located east of I-10 on Warner Road, 480-674-3847. The Angry Crab Shack in Tempe. Come ready to eat.
Hey there, my name is Connor Ackerley with the Varsity Sports Show. I am a senior at Corona del Sol High School where I play quarterback. I'm excited to bring you the content you want to hear and see over this summer, whether it be interviews, features, or co-hosting a show. If you want an exclusive look at the high school offseason and how to navigate it, stay tuned for all that and more. It'll be a behind-the-scenes look of the hard work that gets put in the summer to show you what gets put in the fall, winter, and spring. So tune in to the Varsity Sports Show.
Check out the Doug Gottlieb Show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Hey, now it's time for Carefree Arizona's favorite political insider, a mover, a shaker, with East Coast toughness, yet West Coast sensitivity. Ralph Farrow, talking everything from politics to sports. A real Renaissance man. Here's Ralph.
Yes.
Okay, how you doing?
All right.
All right. So we haven't done this segment in a while.
Yeah, obviously. A lot of crazy things have happened since we last did this.
Well, a lot of things, because you're Carefree's #1 insider, and you're a real mover and a shaker, and you know everything that's going on in town. Politically, I mean, there's things going on in every city politically, but we don't need to get we don't need to get too much into that. But let's talk about where you've been all this time, Ralph. What have you been doing? Where you been?
I've been in Carefree most of the time.
Yeah.
And also visiting my doctors. Remember, I had a stroke 2 years ago.
I know, and you came back in a big way. You bounced back from it.
That surprised everybody, including myself.
Yeah, and so people were worried about you. Our audience, they tune in because they want to know what's going on with Carefree's #1 insider, Ralph Farrow, is
he still around? Yeah,
he's still around.
I'm still around.
Yeah,
still around. They put me at you guys on the council put me on the planning commission.
Yeah, well,
so
we gotta keep you busy.
I'm having fun doing that, making sure we build some nice houses and Carefree that I can't afford and you can't afford.
Yeah. So what would you say to people that are to get them to come up here and take a look at our town? I mean, what could you tell them about our town?
Well, I would say come on up and go to downtown. We have some interesting stores. We have some really good restaurants.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should mention names of the restaurant.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's not like they're sponsors.
Okay, I'd say Venues is really good.
Yeah.
Giordano's is really good for Italian food.
Yeah.
These are all solid restaurants
Yeah.
that I've eaten in many times and would recommend to anybody, and have recommended and had people come up to go to these restaurants.
There's an interesting.
We have some.
Well, there's an interesting place. Sorry to cut you off, but there's an interesting place, a new restaurant that opened where the old Corrado's was. Tell our audience about the new place.
I don't know much about it because I haven't gone. It's not my style. Not my style.
The Tox Bar. Why is it the Tox Bar? Yeah.
I'm not into that type of stuff. So I haven't gone.
It's an interesting concept.
I'm sure it's done very. I'm sure it's done very well. It's just not for me.
Well, it's owned by a couple of nurses, and it's a combination. There's a bar and restaurant, and in the back you can go in back and get Botox. That's why, hence the name Tox Bar. You don't need Botox?
Botox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm way past Botox.
Didn't you just celebrate a birthday?
Yeah. I'm getting to be an elder statesman. I mean, I just did that on Saturday. I celebrated my birthday and became 77 years old.
Wow.
On Saturday.
Wow.
So I'm although in Carefree that's considered probably middle age.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. It's a little more.
I mean, we got a whole bunch of old people. We got a whole bunch of old people here. I mean, you and your family are considered the babies of Carefree.
Yeah. Well, there's some truth to that, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, did you do anything special? Did your wife take?
Oh
you
yeah.
anywhere?
Yeah. We went to the movies and saw the new Yogi Berra movie.
Okay.
Which I recommend to anybody that knows the Yankees or likes baseball. You definitely should go see it, or try to find it on your cable network if they have it yet, and definitely go see it. I mean, Yogi was very important for the Yankees. He won 10 World Series rings.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. So.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we went to where did we go? Went to the restaurant.
You went to a Sicilian joint.
Yeah, the Sicilian Butcher.
Okay.
Yeah, which is really good. I mean, and it's not like Sicilian food. Well, their main thing that they do is you pick they have a bunch of meatballs you pick from. Pick your meatball, and then you pick your pasta, and they put it together, and it's really good. I had a meatball that had what did it have in it? Sausage and stuff, and then I also picked for my pasta. I picked gnocchis.
Oh, very nice.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
so it was really good, and I would recommend that restaurant. I mean, it's down on Tatum.
Yeah.
It's in Cape. It's in south of Desert Ridge.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's in Phoenix. But I definitely would recommend it. It's a good restaurant too.
All right. And then anything else going on this weekend? It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of relatives here in Arizona, so I'm going over to one of my cousins. She's having a barbecue, so I'm going to her house.
A lot of baseball on?
And I guess there'll be baseball. Yeah, always baseball on a Memorial Day weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
There'll definitely be baseball.
Don't forget to honor our troops that have fallen on Monday.
Well, that's on Monday. That's over at the cemetery, right at 8:00, right?
Yeah. I'm on coffee duty that morning, so I promised John, our mayor, John Crane, I'm bringing the coffee from the Carefree Roastery. They're donating coffee, so I'm going to be taking it over early, and then and everything will start at 8 a.m. So
I'll definitely be there for that. I'll definitely be there for that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a veteran, but my father was in the Navy during World War II. So I mean, I definitely, and I have a bunch of cousins that were in the military.
Okay.
And my really good friend was in the Air Force. I had two good friends in the Air Force. So I definitely will be there at the cemetery to honor our veterans.
All right.
It's Memorial. You gotta be there.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, again, Carefree. We're a unique little town. I think they keep saying we have the second highest per capita income in the state or something like that.
Something like that.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of wealthy people here that really don't know much about government, but they can consider themselves conservative. There's being conservative, and then there's being conservative and not knowing how your country runs, and that's what's scary.
Yeah.
That's what's scary because there's no place in this country you could go if there's a town or a city or the county or the state. You're going to have government. I mean, you have to have government. Otherwise, you have anarchy, and we don't want to have anarchy, even though there are some cities that are in anarchy right now, and I won't mention any names, San Francisco.
You just did.
I just said San Francisco.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, St. Francis, I mean, I don't know.
All right, so you're saying it's very important to get involved, make a difference in your community.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right.
And but make a positive thing, not a negative thing. I mean, people get involved and then they're negative, being nasty about their town. And then my question is, why did you move here to begin with if you don't like it? And don't think you're going to change it for the better because it is good already. And yes, can we improve on certain things? Yes, we can. But don't go bad-mouthing and saying that the town isn't being run right or all that nonsense when you don't know how it's being run to begin with.
All right. Wise words from Carefree's #1 insider who says, why do you want to live? Why do you come here anyway?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. All right.
All right. Thanks so much,
All
Ralph,
right,
for joining us this morning, and have a great weekend.
All right, you too, Vinny. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Guys, welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show. As our old friend Ralph Farrow, the Carefree's #1 insider. Every city's got one, Connor. You got this guy. He knows everything. His ear is to the ground. He served. He was also my campaign manager. If you can believe that, I needed a campaign manager. But he's what I refer to as my consigliere. He will counsel me on things and in what's going on in town. Hey, you got to do this. Hey, this is what's happening. You got to consider this. You got to. Every town has one, and it's important. You got to be in the know of what's going on out there. But we were talking Arizona sports. We were heavily engaged in talking D-backs before. You're also a Suns fan. What's your whole take on the Monty Williams firing and what's going on with the coaching search?
The whole Monty Williams thing. There's a lot of people that disagree and a lot of people that agree. I feel like, in my opinion, I think it was time. But in the whole coaching search world, they're still trying to narrow down candidates. They're actually pretty airtight with the leaks and who they're interviewing and all this, but they've mentioned Nick Nurse, they've mentioned Ty Lue.
Who's Nick Nurse?
Nick Nurse, he was the former Toronto Raptors coach.
Okay.
And the funniest part about him, they won the NBA Finals in 2019,
Yeah.
and he just got fired like last year. I mean, 2 years after winning the Finals.
Wow.
And he just got fired. And it's the same thing with who was the other one? Frank Vogel. He was
Yeah.
an old Lakers coach.
Yeah.
Got fired 2 years after winning the Finals.
Wow. I wonder why.
And then it's that's just how it is in the NBA right now. It's kind of a what have you done for me lately mindset, I feel
I'll
like,
say.
in the NBA. I mean, it's the same thing with Monty Williams. They made the Finals in 2021. 2023, he's out the door. Obviously, you can't get blown out, 2 straight years in elimination games.
Yeah.
That's pretty much unacceptable. I don't care how late your team was thrown together.
What's your feeling? So I grew up here, obviously, and when Charles Barkley got signed by the team back for the '92 season, everybody loved it. He was 29 years old. He had success in Philly. Couldn't quite get his team over the top, so they brought him in to come into an established program with KJ and Tom Chambers and all these other guys, Danny Ainge and whatnot. Jeff Hornacek ended up getting moved out, but people are comparing the Kevin Durant trade to that.
It's pretty comparable. Everyone thought, oh yeah, Kevin Durant's going to get us over that hump.
But he was a 16-year veteran.
Obviously not this year. They need to build some pieces around him. You can't just win with 2 stars. They were a little top heavy this year.
Yeah.
But I think Kevin Durant definitely could. He could be the one that gets them over the hump. It's got to happen eventually. So
it has to. You would think, but
having Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, it's pretty hard to stop those two. If they can put some pieces around those two guys, it'd be pretty hard to stop this team.
Connor, what do we have coming up after the break?
So after the break, me and Vince will be back for the final segment with more talk and a final Memorial Day tribute here on the Varsity Sports Show.
Stick around.
Bringing you the latest sports topics weekly right here on KDUS AM 1060 with me, the Doug Gottlieb Show, 1 to 3 p.m.
Coaches, the Varsity Sports Show wants to be part of your team in 2023. We have a proven track record of providing the most coverage of your teams with Thursday and Friday night football. We will spotlight your players with multi-camera game broadcasts, pre- and post-game interviews, and segments on our Saturday morning radio show. With over 100 games broadcast in 2022, we will be exceptional for your team. Call, text, or email 480-220-4629 or info@varsitysportshow.com. In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
Hi, my name is Michael Beal from Costa Mesa, California, and I'm the only person other than Vince that got the honor of wearing his high school letterman jacket. And you're listening to the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS, Arizona.
Your morning drive just got a little better. The Dan Patrick Show is live weekday morning starting at 6 exclusively on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060. I'm here with Vince Delisio. We're about to wrap this show up here.
That's it. So, Connor, great job so far on the show. I got to tell you my observations. First of all, before we get to my observations, I want to ask you about yours. Coming into the studio today, what were you thinking?
Just a little nervous. Obviously, it's not like I'm talking in front of a crowd of people, so that helps a little bit. But yeah, I was a little nervous. Didn't want to flub anything up, but
yeah,
I feel like overall it went pretty good today.
As a quarterback, quarterback for a 6A program at Corona del Sol, a lot of high expectations on you, on your shoulders. There's a lot riding on every decision that you make. I don't want to add to any pressure that you have, but playing in front of a lot of people, how does that compare to doing radio?
It's almost like less pressure right now because I'm not looking over, about to run a play and looking over at all these people in the
seeing
stands.
your mom in the stands yelling at you. Yeah.
But there's definitely some elements that are the same here.
Yeah.
Just having a talk, and you know that there's people listening, and my mom's listening. gotta fill some big shoes.
Jody Jackson. Wow. So let's talk more about things that you got on the horizon this summer, because you are participating in some sevens. You've got some camps coming up. You've got schools that have been kicking the tires on you like in a big way, that are interested in you, and so you'll obviously be making decisions on what you're planning on doing after high school. How is all that going?
It's going good. We're still trying to figure out our summer schedule right now, with camps and visits and talking to coaches and making that around our football practices, obviously. But yeah, things are starting to pick up in the recruiting world for me, and obviously the main focus is to put up another good season senior year and win some games my senior year, and try and go out on a high note. But the recruiting is all kind of a side part right now. I want to get better for senior year.
So if a school doesn't know who Connor Ackerley is, which I find hard to believe, because you're going into your senior year, you've been doing this for a few years now. But if a school doesn't know and you had to sell yourself, what would be some things that you would say to describe your abilities, things that you feel that you do well, things that you feel like, I can get a little better at that, and as well as your kind of off the field interests? I know I'm asking you a lot, but how would you sell yourself?
Yeah, I just like to work. I'm a guy that likes to go out and get better. I can lead my teammates. I feel like I've done a pretty good job at that so far, at kind of getting guys to rally around me. Not even talking about the actual talent part of things. I feel like I do a lot of things off the field pretty well. I think I do good in school, and all that is good. And then obviously on the field, I feel like I have a good football IQ. I know, what everyone's doing at every play, which is, it's just a responsibility of a quarterback. But then, I like to, I trust my training, trust my instincts, trust my reads, be accurate with all my passes. So there's a lot of things that I feel like I do good, as opposed to some things I do wrong.
A good situation for you, a school. What are things that they would have to be, both on the field and off, in order for you to really want to go there? Like what type of offense? What type of academic programs? What type of environment would it have to be for you to say, this is my place?
This is what I feel like the good thing was about kind of, having a coaching change in the middle of my high school career was like I've run two different offenses now.
Yeah.
Because under Coach Bechtold, we ran kind of more of a pro-style offense. A lot of stuff was like off-play action, stuff like that. And then under Coach Barrow's offense, we've gone a little more spread it out, RPO, stuff like that, where, a little bit of pressure's off me because, some of these reads where I'm just I either hand it or I'm throwing a screen. So, the offense that I feel best fits, like the ones that I like to play in the best, are that pro style offense and that RPO offense. If there's like a good balance of that we can find, which is what I think Coach Barrow's we're starting to establish here, as into the second year. I'm learning from him and learning what he likes to do, and I feel like the way we're going to be able to play that RPO game off of like some play actions and some pro style offense, it's gonna really benefit me. It's gonna really benefit the team.
Does your mom get in Coach Barrow's ear?
No.
No.
She tries to stay away from all that.
Okay, I'm not trying to paint a bad picture, Jody. If you're listening, I'm just curious. I'm curious because some parents are not that way. I mean, they want to say, "Look, my kid is a quarterback. I need him to do this because whatever." But it doesn't seem like your mom is like that.
No,
She'll give you a hard time.
She tries to stay out of the way.
Okay.
If she has anything to say to me, about my performance, she'll wait till we're like together, and she'll start giving me tips and stuff like that. So
that was great. It was good. No, it's a lot of fun. You guys are obviously a very close family, and your younger sister and your dad, great guy. I love Chad. He's a good dude, and so it's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to another year of covering the Corona del Sol Aztecs because working with you also has been a real treat too. So. What an amazing show. I mean, we've had a lot of fun. What do you think? Do you think you can do this for a living someday after your playing career is over?
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun here today already. So
okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, Connor. Why don't you take us on out?
All right. Thank you to our summer broadcast team, including Brooke Early from the University of Arizona Journalism School, Austin Hipola from Arizona State University's Cronkite School of Mass Communications. Thank you to our guest, Camelback High football coach Brandon McNutt, my mom and veteran broadcaster Jody Jackson, the amazing tributes for Memorial Day. Please be sure and check out all of our archived content on Twitter at Varsity Show, as well as Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thanks to our producer, Aaron Decker, and join us back here next Saturday at 8 a.m. on AM 1060 KDUS Arizona, the Varsity Sports Show. Now enjoy our final tribute, U.S. Marine Corps veteran and longtime public servant Gene Scott from his younger brother, Ron Scott. My name is Connor Ackerley. Go Varsity.
My name is Ron Scott, and I was a teacher and coach in the Valley for 42 years, retired in 2016. Yeah, I want to introduce you to my brother, Gene Scott, who right out of North High School joined the U.S. Marine Corps, and almost immediately after basic training, he was put on a ship and was shipped out to the Korean War Theater, where he spent 1 full year and then 2 more years in the theater, where he was shipped off to Japan. Came out of the service and joined the Marine Corps Reserve, where he spent 17 years in the Marine Corps Reserve 33rd Engineer Department, which was located there right by Carl Hayden High School on 35th Avenue in Roosevelt. And he retired from there after 20 total years as a warrant officer. My brother always wanted to be in law enforcement, and he had really 2 opportunities to join law enforcement. One was with the county sheriff's office, and the other one was with the Phoenix Police Department. He actually chose the Phoenix Police Department because the pay was less than $50 more than it was with the county sheriff's office. So he spent 21 years with the Phoenix Police Department, did all kinds of things from patrol to detective to motors. And the last 6 years, he was a firearms instructor at the academy. So he retired from Phoenix in 81 and immediately went to Mesa Police Department, where he was hired to be the range master at the academy and the firearms instructor for Mesa PD. He spent 11 years there, and when he first got there in 81, there was 1 range. And when he left, he had created 5 additional ranges. And they use those ranges today. 29 years after he left there in 93, he was honored by the city of Mesa and the Mesa Police Department, and the firing range was named the Gene Scott Memorial Firing Range. And that just happened in October of 22. Well, my brother's military service served him well in law enforcement, and he started at Phoenix in 1958. So if you can imagine the Valley in 1958, his badge number was 533. And so, there were only 532 officers before him. And so it was just a very small town. They did a lot of work with Glendale. Glendale ended at 43rd Avenue. And they did a lot of co-policing and that kind of thing. So it was a very quiet community, really, in 58. and he really enjoyed it. He loved every minute of being an officer. Well, my brother was an expert in the Marine Corps. He was a demolition expert. He was a firearms expert. And of course, the last 6 years in Phoenix, he was the firearms instructor. So he trained hundreds, maybe thousands of recruits from all over the valley, really, because Phoenix at that time was the only academy. So, cities like Buckeye, Glendale, Avondale, all those small communities, they didn't have an academy, so they attended Phoenix. And then, of course, when he went to Mesa in '81, same thing. He trained thousands of police officers, and his number one thing that he got across to police officers was safety, going home. In addition, while he was in Mesa at the academy, he also was a game and fish reserve officer for 17 years. So he worked the Tonto Basin area, which included Roosevelt Lake, and absolutely loved being out checking for permits, license, fishing license, hunting license, and things like that. While he was in Tonto Basin, where he lived probably off and on for over 35 years, he founded the VFW club there in Tonto Basin. He was one of the founding members, and really the purpose of that organization was to help veterans. And so he spent many years helping veterans deal with the VA or whatever their problems was, raising money and things like that. Same place at Tonto Basin. He also was a co-founder of the Marine Corps League, and which is both of those organizations are up and running right now in Tonto Basin. He was the founding father of those. While he was in Tonto Basin, he also coached Little League baseball. He found that there was no baseball for the kids, and so for several years he coached Babe Ruth baseball. They even named the Little League field after him. So my brother's life was really a life of service. I'm very happy to honor my brother, Gene Scott, on Memorial Day. Gene was in law enforcement for 47 years, and he was also in the Marine Corps for a total of 20 years. Name is Gene Scott, and he is very much missed.
Thank you for listening to the Varsity Sports Show, where our mission is to empower education and enable dreams, creating an unmatched platform to showcase talent both in front of and behind the microphone in radio, television, podcast, and live streaming. The Varsity Sports Show, still your home for youth, high school, college, and you in Arizona and beyond.